welcome back. Today, join me as I make a dress for an event. I have an event coming up called Grease Fest, which is an awesome Rockabilly inspired weekend full of old cars, dancing, market stalls and more, and it's just a great social hang and opportunity to dance your heart out. So I decided I'm going to make a dress for the event. It is only a week away, so I only got a couple of days to make the dress. I was inspired by some bric-a-brac I received, which looks like so, and I thought instantly, you know what, I can make a patio dress, which was quite common in the 1950s. They were kind of like Western inspired with lots of bric-a-brac and different colours and different layers, such as this. So I thought maybe I could use those colourings into a dress. So I have attempted to make a crazy inspired dress out of this bric-a-brac, out of recycled materials, and just basically see what I can use in my sewing cupboard to create this dress. I'm going to use a pattern from my Golden Dressmaker book. I'm going to use this one here. The nice big collar and the different sort of like layers, so that will allow me to add the different bric-a-brac to it, which is pretty exciting. So let's get started. I have to photocopy the pattern and start drafting. I cannot wait. Bric-a-brac colours, I for some reason associated with them with the sweets called licorice all sorts. I have no idea why my mind went there, but I thought that would be kind of a cool multicolored dress to have like a black background, black and white, maybe that pink as well mixed in, and almost look like a licorice all short. How I have like the colour black, white, colour black, white. I don't know if that's going to work, but with those layers in that dress, it might. And best of all, I can kind of like utilise materials in my sewing box, and it doesn't have to be like one big piece of material because I'm going to kind of like piece it together in the different layers. So this is very much an example of upcycling, reusing secondhand materials, those sorts of things, and hopefully I don't have to go to Spotlight to get anything. So let's see if I can get this done in a week. Let's go. I started to photocopy my pattern pieces, and I noticed, I don't know if this is my Nana's book, I don't know whether she made the dress because on 42 here somebody's crossed it out and put 41, indicating that collar is actually for dress 41. So now I do wonder if she actually has made this dress. So I'm going to channel my Nana's wisdom when I make this dress, and no doubt it will come together perfectly. So I'm going to go ahead and photocopy things.
Me a bit to get into the groove when drafting these patterns. Sometimes I forget what I'm doing or how to draft it out, so I often go round and round a couple times to make sure that I have the dots where they should be and that it's actually looking like what it should be. Excuse me, what are you doing? I was working there, please. May I have my floor back? Please move. Pretty please. We ended up compromising, and I got my floor back, and I allowed him to give me the moral support I needed to get these patterns sorted. So both of us won in the end.
So all my pattern pieces are cut out. I do have some questions so far to the creator of these patterns. I've just come across some terminology that I'm not familiar with, such as a dart, as in like a diamond dart like that. I'm not quite sure, I'll have to do some research. And then this collar, I really hope that I cut it out right. It did look a bit wonky donkey, but I think it'll be fine. I am debating whether to cut two lots out and make it a bit thicker and a bit sturdier, but I'll see how it goes for now and if it marries up and matches. So let's go and cut my material.
My support crew and quality control manager was back, checking out how I was cutting these patterns out. I do hope that he was very impressed and decided to go and have a nap instead. So he's always very helpful. The bodice was done. I did the darts as best I could, and now it was to look at putting the collar, how I was going to attach the collar to the bodice and making sure that I've still got my opening to add a side zip. That was very important. For the collar, I decided to cut an extra piece out, so that made it double-sided. I think it was going to provide a lot more structure and a lot more completeness when I sew it to the bodice. So here I'm just sewing the one side of the collar together and leaving an opening that will then attach to the bodice later on. Is how the bodice is looking. I'm still not happy with these darts in the bodice, so I'm thinking, because it's a drop waist, I think that's what really tricked me around, to make sure that it was sitting properly, because it is the waist and the hip area. So I decided to take them out and redo them and make sure that they were taking and being tapered in enough. Redo the bodice. I'm still not 100% happy with it. I think I'm interpreting the dart pattern incorrectly, so I'm going to leave that aside for now and work that out later. Now I'm going to move on to the skirt part. For the skirt, literally 2 measurements to make it. The instructions basically said for the upper part 11 inches by 69 and the lower part 16 by 126 inches. So for the upper part, I'm going to keep it nice and simple in black material, and the lower part is where I'll go fancy and have different layers of colours that go around. So I'm going to go ahead and cut those out. Once the first layer was all cut out, I then had to do a big gathering stitch. So I just get a really wide stitch, straight stitch on my sewing machine, I run it right through the material, and then I'll manually gather up the material and make sure it's the right size it needs to be to attach to the bodice. And because it needs to attach to the bodice, I decided I had to fix the bodice before I went any further in order to attach the skirt, the zip and everything, and for it to be sitting correctly and nicely and evenly as well.
Gonna take a while. Might have to go and get a cuppa and come back. Of my skirt, which is going to be the most fun layer, because I'm going to have different panels of colours going right round. Now, to keep with that licorice all sorts theme, I am going to continue the black, the pink, I'm going to add in some white. Do you agree with the white, Charlie? White. And then I was thinking of getting some orange and then a yellow, either this mustard colour yellow or the buttery yellow. I haven't quite decided yet, but I was able to utilise what I could find in my sewing cabinet, and I also was able to find some yellow material at the op shop, which was really great. So that gets costs down and it uses materials saving from landfill. So I'm going to go ahead and get into my creative groove and get this skirt done.
part of my recycle make and then do philosophy, I'm utilising whatever scraps I can find in my sewing cupboard, including a t-shirt I found in the op shop for one of the panels of colour, plus some swimsuit material, a bed sheet, and some random other material that I found. The t-shirt worked well. I was able to cut it up. You could only see a little line from the arm, but it worked well. And then I placed out all my colours to work out the pattern that I wanted. I then tediously stitched every panel together in a nice big long piece of material and just made sure I did an overlocking sort of stitch so that it would basically prevent any fraying and those sorts of things. So I went ahead and did that. Next up, it was time to do another big straight stitch for the gathering. So this was going to be even more tedious than the last layer because of the volume and width of material, but I went ahead and did that big giant wide straight stitch ready to be gathered. Also, at the same time, I flipped the material around and did the hem as well with a like a rolling hem foot on my sewing machine, making it a lot easier to hem. A solid couple of hours of sewing, cutting this bottom layer out, I am finally done and ready to attach it to the bottom layer skirt. Now I just need to measure it up and make sure that it will be even, and I have one of the colours is like a 3-colour framed between the black and white, so that will become the front, so I need to make sure that is positioned correctly and then work out my gathering and to make sure that it's all going to sit nicely on that bottom layer. So a little bit more of tedious work to go. So I had to go to Spotlight and buy some ribbons, but no joke, these 2 ribbons cost me about $26 for 2 ribbons. Like, this is why I shop only secondhand mainly, but these colours I couldn't find at the op shop, so after more gathering and more positioning, I was able to then finally attach the last layer of the skirt to the second layer to complete my dress. So I went ahead and did that. But yes, it was a total of 8 hours on a Thursday night, sewing and creating my little heart's content out. And it was so much fun and such a great challenge to push myself to, just take it slowly and take it step by step and show myself that I can make something and be creative at the same time. So it was a very, very fun, challenging process that I've thoroughly enjoyed. One of the finishing elements I did was added bias binding to each of the layer joins so that I knew that there'd be no fraying and it would be structurally sound, and also give it some weight into how it sat. I also bias bind the armholes, saving me having to do like a little hem or something, just to make it easier and just to finish off really nicely. And I'm glad I did this because it gives a more higher quality finish touch to it. I also scored that massive roll of bias binding from my gardening swap club. So it was such a win because I was like, free materials and secondhand materials. So that was also another great win. but not least, I decided to add the ribbon around the edge, the bottom layer, and then I also did a double check with the fit to make sure that the bodice was sitting nice. I had to take it in a bit, and also the hem I had to take up. I often make things too big and too long because I'm really scared that they're going to be too small and I can't fix it. So I then had to redo the hem, which was an easy fix. I just had to cut it off and re-hem it, and then I could start sewing my ribbons. Yes, you might have noticed I ended up not using the bric-a-brac at all because I decided it didn't need it. It was just simple and elegant as it was, so I decided I'll use the bric-a-brac for another project. Naughty and was just using whatever thread color I had on hand because it was inside the dress and you wouldn't really see it, and I went through 7 random colors of threads, bobbin threads, crazy. And lastly, no dress is complete without a matching brooch, so I pulled out my felt pieces and made a little licorice all sorts inspired brooch because I thought it'd be fun to tie in the colors and to really show people what I was trying to create. That is the final fit check of the results of this crazy fun adventure of making this dress. I am kind of happy with the overall look of it. The bodice was still not sitting right as I'd hoped. I'm just not used to sewing a drop waist. That's something I have to improve on. But I think it is so much fun, so much colour, and I'm ready to dance the day away. I cannot wait. I'll see you later.